Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today I want to talk about some features that we know about, sort of, but aren't on the roadmap currently. Features and supporting tech that are being worked on now, or have the potential to land within the next 12 months or so, but are hidden from our view for some reason. This could be because Cloud Imperium don't know when it will land, they are being kept for surprises, maybe they're parts of other features that are already on the roadmap, and some might just take a little longer than the roadmap shows currently. Please be aware that Star Citizen's development does change and evolve, and these are my interpretations of what has been said. There are an array of party improvements that Cloud Imperium have been working on. Shareable Missions, we know that they are being worked on, but they're not going to make Alpha 3.6. The feature will see the party leader have access to all the party members' missions and then can choose one of these or take a new one, and that becomes the active mission for the group. There are also party and multi-crew improvements that have been being worked on, various quality of life bits, including a permission system allowing a vehicle owner to give specific players access to doors, multifunction displays, stations, and other systems around the ship. This can all be seen as part of the organization features pillar that Cloud Imperium are working on. We should see more specific features for group organization, both in and out of game as well. We should at some point be able to see organization affiliation and some other simple organization features appearing in game at some point in the not too distant future. We know that they want secure areas to replace armistice and green zones, and there are some features which support phasing those out already on the roadmap. Not just the law system in 3.6, but also the security systems in 3.8. The security system controls who has access to areas and objects based on various factors, such as reputation, ownership, keycards, and faction. It will automatically issue warnings to people breaking the law, and if ignored, will flag them as criminals to security forces. This actually sounds like it is sort of, at least in part, tied to the permission system for groups and orgs as well. Customization. So starting with the rework of the 300 series variants, apparently coming in 3.5.x, probably 3.5.1, we are getting a website system for ship customization, enabling us to make changes to our ships before we purchase them, and potentially afterwards as well. Probably loadouts and paint schemes is the most likely things that we'll be able to change. It's expected that this will propagate to other ships too at some point, and eventually all this functionality will be available in-game. We don't know to what extent this customization will allow, or if it's going to allow you to customize ships that you already have bought. Things like that, we'll have to wait and see. Something that you will continuously hear about for the next year or so at least is server improvements, some of which are not on the roadmap yet, but should be, at least in part, sort of like added to the game during the next 12 months. The main ones being server-side object container streaming, the ability for servers to sleep and standby, as well as wake up different object containers, full persistence, the ability for servers to save persistent data of objects and entities, so an item or crash ship will persist on a server. You could leave a teddy bear in an icy tundra area on Microtech, and someone else might find it a week later, for example. There are going to be restrictions to that and like a degradation time, but that's the basics of it. Server meshing, allowing for multiple servers to handle a star system from a single room or ship to a planet, and for these servers to handle areas nested within each other as well. At first, server meshing will be static, so multiple set servers for Stanton, having one server deal with just Planet Hurston, one planet dealing with just ArcCorp. Eventually, this will be dynamic, though, enabling individual object containers to be handled by server meshing and for them to be spun up and down based on area population. And that will mean that individual object containers can truly be of any size and literally have a single server running even the tiniest little object container. Part of the incredibly important core of Star Citizen when it comes to ship combat, flight, and customization is physicalized ship components. We know that they've been working towards this for quite a while, with the Terrapin being the first ship that will have all of its systems physicalized, so the shield generators, power plants, and other components. They will all have a physical presence on the ship. Detaching them from the ship by literally sliding them out or moving them in some way will mean that the ship doesn't have that component connected. This will also see the end of ship health pools. Ships will instead take damage to their components and connecting areas of them. This will cause ships to be much more commonly disabled rather than exploding, destroyed, and then you could potentially fix those areas and components. Having physicalized components is a prerequisite of sub-component modding, which would allow you to mod your weapons and ship systems further. With sub-components, you can swap out and in different parts, so this could also allow for hand repairs and patching them up on the fly. Say something burns out or wears down, you might not have a spare power plant on you, but you might have to swap out the subcomponents to get your ship moving again. Large modular ship parts and rooms are still planned to be changeable in the future on certain ships. So we'll probably see room changes for the Caterpillar, the Retaliator, and many other ships as well. However, some ships are becoming variants, and some of their rooms might not be modular between other variants of a similar type. It sounds like ship modules will be treated like components, and based on their size in the future, you would have to swap them out potentially at specialist facilities. At the end of 2018, they originally wanted to get Lancome Mechanics in Alpha 3.4. When I had my interview last with Aaron in 2018, he said it was one of the most exciting things that he had planned for the game and that he wanted to get in. So I suspect that is still something on their list of a relatively high priority once they've got the Squadron 42 elements out of the way that are shareable between the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. Something I've asked about before is looting of NPCs and players beyond just taking their guns that they drop now in 3.5. Local physical inventories are planned for Alpha 3.7. This will have the player and potentially NPC inventories tracked and actually be what they're carrying, and these items should be lootable as well at some stage. Probably at the same time we have local physical inventories. There is also the law and black market systems that support this, and they're planned for 3.6. This is going to have shopkeepers and security be able to differentiate between stolen and legitimate gear and wares. So probably some place to sell stolen and black market goods as well. Dynamic weather will be coming in the future. It appears, based on who you talk to either be in the backlog or being worked on in spare time by available devs or dev. There is no ETA at the moment on dynamic weather. However, it's sort of like one of those things that could randomly drop into a major build just when it's ready. They have also said that they want environmental sort of like effects and weather in space, I suppose, as well at some point. They are getting planetary fog tech in 3.6, so we could see better environmental effects and lighting as well from patch to patch, and sort of like the illusion of weather until the dynamic system comes online. And obviously some of these things are going to be part of that system anyway. An expanded cargo system has been worked on for a long while now, allowing for more varied containers and a more streamlined entity system. This is important for ships like the Hull C, but also for optimization in general. So we'll see bigger containers that are specifically for gas and liquids, things like that, hopefully in the near future. We know that there are some light survival mechanics coming, with players needing to, or at least being encouraged to, eat, drink and wash. This is tied to the player status system, which will track thirst, hunger, rest, inebriation, hygiene and temperature, in addition to health, stamina and oxygen levels that we already have. I believe the player status system is currently planned for 3.8, and we might get light survival mechanics at the same time. Cloud Imperium recently said that once they finish the implementation of FPS weapon customization, that they will be expanding out the functionality of the multi-tool. We don't know whether or not the sort of like functionality and additions to the multi-tool will make it into 3.6 or not when the FPS weapon customization is planned, but they have said that they want the multi-tool to be used for welding, cutting, repairing, maybe mining and salvage as well. We know that they've been working on procedural caves, though that's likely quite far out. However, procedural planetary generation stuff and improvements to that tech are coming with each major patch, and they are pushing what they can do to its limits with their tech. They've been working on scaling of natural features like canyons, valleys and mountains. They are also working towards better city generation. ArcCorp and Lorville are certainly not finished yet. They want the planet and landing zone looking great from all distances, and there's additions to those areas that they want to put in. there are a multitude of new missions, or at least parts of missions for the dynamic mission system and the future that they've been working on. I heard that there may be junk or scrapyards that allow for more outlaw gameplay and potentially the selling of salvaged or stolen ships, something like that. Missions are an interesting one, as they need to fill out the world with more and more mission content, and up till now, they've had much more linear missions. So they're starting to need to have these more dynamic individual pieces of missions, as well as obviously some linear parts of missions. There are a whole host of character additions and improvements coming, female characters as NPCs that are populating the world, not just in shops, because if you notice at the moment, it's all male characters walking around the world, you only have female shopkeepers, so they do need to sort that out. The new hair pipeline's coming online at some point soon. Twitch Pacheco is supposed to have braids, for example. They literally just changed her hair at the last minute, I suppose, for 3.5. They are planning on expanding the character customizer for Alpha 3.6 with a new user interface and some additional functionality. We know they're also planning to expand the DNA gene pool, so we'll have more heads and more facial features at some point too. This could potentially be at the same time. We know they've been planning to integrate Vulkan into the game at some point as well, and they've been working towards that. I'm expecting that we'll see it at Q1 or 2 next year, probably for Squadron 42's side of things at least, and then potentially in the Persistent Universe a little bit after that. We should see some pretty good gains performance-wise from Vulkan integration into the game. It is a prerequisite of getting VR into the game as well. With VR though, beyond them keeping it in mind, I have no further information on that. It is something I do poke CIG about quite regularly. Obviously some of that was reasonably speculative. There's a lot of it sort of like we don't know when it's going to be because it's not on the roadmap, but we know they're working on it sort of stuff. And that was from sources including the roadmap, the monthly report, Cloud Imperium's shows, as well as a little bit of information from devs at BritizenCon. And this video was based on requests from my community, so thank you very much for giving me ideas and sort of like helping me prioritize videos like this. Every month we have a ship giveaway on the channel for May 2019. It's for another Drake Corsair exploration ship, donated in the name of the People's Radio. They are a 24/7 radio station providing music in the Verse News and in Law Commercials, and are operated by the People's Alliance of Levski. To be in for a chance of winning that ship, be subscribed to my YouTube channel and comment on any of my videos made during the month. Links to the People's Radio and more information on the giveaway in the description below. If you are looking for a gaming PC or to upgrade, then instead consider Shadow Cloud gaming PCs, which leverage your internet connection and a data center to turn any device, your old PC, a phone, a tablet, a laptop, whatever, into a powerful Windows 10 gaming environment. It's subscription-based, so won't break the bank, and is a fantastic alternative to buying your own PC. If you are looking for a VPN, then I use NordVPN as well. It's mega cheap, allows me to upload, play games, browse with more security and privacy than I would otherwise have. For both of those, links are below, and use the code BoredGamer to receive a discount on either. BoredGamer is supported by its community via Patreon, the YouTube join button, Subscribestar, Twitch, direct donations, people throwing ships at me. A massive thank you to everyone that goes that extra mile to support me. It genuinely does help. Just like everything else, links are below for people that would like to get involved with that as well. But if you want to give feedback, there are details there that you can get onto my Discord, discord.gg/BoredGamer, or contact@boredgamer.co.uk if you want to send me an email. Just get in contact, give me feedback. Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you.